Hi guys, I've decided to start my YouTube channel up again, and if you don't know me already, my name's Romy, I'm 16 years old and I have Tourette's syndrome and ASD. And in this video I'm going to be discussing the difficulties that some students with Tourette's syndrome might face in school and how to overcome these difficulties. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is anxiety related to the tics, because some people with Tourette's, especially myself, can worry about going into school because they don't know what they're going to tick, because tics are unpredictable and anything could happen. So for me, I would worry, was I going to hit someone? Was I going to hit something? Was I going to have a tic tac? Was I going to collapse onto the floor? Because I just couldn't tell. There was no way to tell. So if you have anxiety surrounding the tics, usually accommodations can help. So this could include, for me, I had half days on some days, so I wouldn't have to worry about doing the whole day, just half of it. So it was a shorter day so I could cope better. Another accommodation that could help anxiety related to tics could be a timeout card, where if your tics get too severe, you can leave class and go somewhere quiet where there's less sensory stimuli. And some people with Tourette's syndrome also have generalised anxiety, and this can usually be helped again with accommodations like a timeout card, or you could have a peer mentor, which is maybe an older student, maybe a sixth former, who can come and speak to you and try and help you overcome your difficulties. And also a school counsellor can sometimes help, and you can also sometimes, if it gets really bad, see a therapist outside of school. Another issue that many people with Tourette's syndrome face is teachers not understanding the condition. Because tics shouldn't be punished because they're involuntary, they're not bad behaviour, they are part of a neurological condition. So for me, when I was in year 9, I had a teacher who didn't really understand. He would send me out of the class for ticking, he would call the alert on me, he'd get quite angry at me and tell me off. So what we did there was we made a meeting, that teacher and the Senko had a meeting and discussed what they should do about it. So eventually the issue was resolved. Another thing you can do, as well as having a meeting with the school, is to, if the teacher has a school email, you can email them some websites about Tourette's syndrome. Some good ones are Tourette's Action, the Tourette Association of America, and Tourette's Hero. They're all websites with a lot of information on Tourette's syndrome and related conditions. And also the Tourette's Action website has some leaflets on the website in their resources section, and one of those leaflets is aimed at teaching teachers about Tourette's syndrome and helping them understand it. So I've used that leaflet before. I've given it to teachers if they don't really understand. And also another thing I did was, I once had a teacher who, it was a substitute teacher, but he taught me for about a week because my teacher was off for about a week, and he would copy my tics. Like, I had a tic where I'd do this and he would do that back, and he would make comments about my tics, and I didn't really like that. So I wrote him a letter explaining what Tourette's is and how he should react, and he never bothered me again. And also, some people with Tourette's unfortunately get bullied in school. So a way to manage this is to tell someone in the school. You could tell the Senko, the head teacher, or someone in student services, or your form tutor, or pretty much any teacher that you trust, because they can usually try and get it sorted. And because I was bullied in year 7, but luckily now nobody bullies me because everyone seems to understand a lot better. And if you are worried about people not understanding your condition in school, then you could maybe do a presentation about Tourette's syndrome to your class if your teacher lets you. And what I did was I run an assembly to the whole school on Tourette's syndrome, so now the whole school understands. And it's really helpful because if I tic, nobody gets offended, nobody is bothered by it. Another difficulty that people with Tourette's syndrome can face in school is tics that can get in the way of doing things. So for me, I used to have tics where I would throw my pen across the classroom, I would scribble on my work, I would rip my paper up into little shreds, and I would stab my paper with the pen like that. So I used a laptop to write on, and I just did all my work on a laptop. And this can help some people. Although I did break a laptop once, I banged it onto the floor and it was like the back kind of fell off and it went flat. So if you have ticks involve breaking laptops like I did, then you can sometimes use a tablet with a protective cover on. It can usually help some more. And also this brings me on to my next one. I used to rip pages out of books, so you can usually use a tablet and download the books onto there if you feel that that could help. And also, because ticks wax and wane, some days your ticks might be really bad and other days they might be a bit better. So you could ask for maybe a little extension on some homeworks if your ticks are particularly bad in that week and you can't finish it. You can maybe ask for a short extension and see if that could help. And also, some people with Tourette's can worry about the exam period, because for some people in exams they have to sit in a big hall with lots of people and they're worried their ticks might disrupt it. So what can really help is, especially if you're in secondary school, you have to get this sorted as soon as possible. You can ask to have a separate room, and that obviously helps because you're not distracting everyone else, and 2, you can relax and let your ticks out. And also extra time. I have 25% extra time in my exams, and it really helps because if I'm ticking, then I can have the same chance as everybody else, because my ticks might take up sometimes, but I have the time at the end to make it back up. So that can really help some people. And you can do an assessment for the exam boards, and I did that. And then they also asked me if I could get a letter from a doctor, so I got a letter from my neurologist, and luckily they allowed me to have extra time, which is really helpful. And one more thing I wanted to talk about is some people with Tourette's syndrome have sensory processing difficulties. This is quite common in individuals with Tourette's syndrome. I used to be very sensitive to sound and light and touch. So if you're in school, the corridors and the lunch hall and everywhere can be quite overwhelming because it's loud, there's lots of people. So ear defenders can help in some cases, and also some accommodations where you can leave class maybe 5 minutes early, so you can miss the mad rush in the corridors, or you can I used to actually leave class 15 minutes early, and I would go to student support to have a sensory break, and just sit in a quiet room for 15 minutes, and it did really help. Also sunglasses, if you're sensitive to the fluorescent lights in school buildings, then they can really help. As well as this, sensory stimuli can also make ticks worse because it can be a tick trigger. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, you can tick more, and also light sensitivity can make you tick more as well. So it's important that if you have sensory difficulties, you can try and find ways around these, because it can really help. It can bring your ticks down, bring your anxiety down, and it can just make it a lot easier in school. So that's all I really wanted to cover in this video. Thank you for watching, and I hope you liked it. I hope this can help some people. So bye, thank you for watching.